and Pan Dulce. How's that? Coffee and Pan Dulce.
Bacon, and I'm a community advocate here in South Charlotte. If I had my buttons on today, it would be, let's get some gun control. I'm tired of looking at the news and seeing this. Black Lives Matter in honor of our friend Joel. And let's have equal rights for everybody.
This is Jenny-Jaymes Gunn. I am a community advocate here in Charlotte, North Carolina for LGBT women's rights with the National Organization for Women, gun sense laws with Moms and Men Action, and anything that extends equity to all. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Christian Cano. You're the co-host. My buttons are Moms and Men Action, gun sense legislation, healthcare for all, Medicare for all, and also in my heart, Black Lives Matter on behalf of Joe Oldham, who's a guest of ours who passed away last year. That's it.
Good morning, everybody. We were having a few laughs off camera. We are back. We are back with a vengeance. It is our annual Cinco De Mayo show, no less. And this is Coffee and Pan Dulce. And if you're listening to this is the first show we've had in a while. We took about a spring break, and just took the family business and other things. And actually, Chris and I were more busy than when we record our shows, and so really out of necessity, and we were grooving. I'm in a new place. He had a lot of family business to take care of, necessary business, kind of a spring cleaning, we'll call it, and just to get caught up on things. But we're back. We're just like a bad penny. We're always going to turn up, and we are here, and we are rocking it out, and it is spring 2024, and we've got, and this is one of these shows I always look forward to because, one, we're always going to get a lot of pushback if we talk about Mexican Independence Day in September or
exactly.
And it's usually a lot of white people that weigh in.
Yep, that's right.
Which I find really interesting how invested they are into Hispanic terms and Hispanic and Latin titles. Like, they really get their panties twisted about stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm like, what are you talking about? But anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Good morning, Kristen.
Well, good morning, Jenny. And as Jenny said, we have been on a little bit of a spring break hiatus. We both have been incredibly busy, both personally and professionally. And I am at another undisclosed location in North Carolina, taping this one. And then next week, actually tomorrow, I'll be back in West Afghanistan for a family situation. But also, to get back in Texas. I'm sorry, West Afghanistan. I don't want to, tip off the people. But as Jenny said, welcome, Jenny. I was a couple weeks ago. I was back in West Afghanistan. I was covering a show for us that we did last year, William Beckman at the Billy Bob's, Texas. Also, we did some taping for a show that we're going to do this summer. Interviewed some people on what it means to be a Tejano. Was able to see some people during the eclipse, so we'll have that we'll put on tape during the summer for that show. And but one of the things I thought was very interesting is the week that we're taping this, Fiesta has just ended in San Antonio in past weekend when we taped this, and I was hoping somehow to extend it, my trip there, another week so I could get down to Fiesta and do some taping. But of course, I had to get back home and life happens and so forth. But I know you and I have been talking about off camera that we do either next year or the year after, we want to go down to Fiesta for a week and do our show. So I thought about us because I was
We've talked about that
away.
for years.
Yes,
we have
exactly.
talked about that for years.
Yep.
And we've always been in different life stages. And of course, there was a pesky little pandemic in 2020.
Darn pandemic.
And the last place you would want to go to is Texas. Because Fiesta draws about 500,000 people, especially tonight. So, and you would just, I don't even know if they had it, but if they did have it, it's almost guaranteed COVID.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I think 2025 is going to be the year, though. I agree. I would really like to do that because I first of all, I love Fiesta time in San Antonio. I spent much of my childhood, but also my adulthood there in the great city of San Antonio, Texas. And multicultural, beautiful city, beautiful history, art, food. The food's just to die for. You definitely have to go on a diet before you go because Fiesta time, they're not serving salads and steamed vegetables.
That's right.
They only serve that for profiling purposes. Or if you put ketchup on your tamales, you have a problem. NASA, we have a problem.
Exactly.
And the food is just amazing, especially a night in Old San Antonio, which is the 5 nights of the big thing, the big deal. And if you ever have a chance and you watch this show or listen to the show, and you get a chance to go to one of the great American festivals, Fiesta time in San Antonio is a much overlooked festival.
Yeah.
But it'll hold its own against anything in the United States. It is funner than Pride. Honestly.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that would give us an opportunity to bring the Fiesta and the Tejano culture to our viewers and listeners. So let's plan that. Let's do 2025. I'll start we got to start a year in advance anyway, just to get in a hotel room or something there. But anyway, so I thought about you on that, but also I thought about you during the eclipse. I know you and I had talked about the eclipse before I left, and in Texas, it was expected to be cloudy, so I was very excited because I was hoping to get on video some. Apparently, millions and millions of people had traveled down to migrated to Texas to watch because it was on the path of 100% viewing, and millions of people. And then the Saturday and Sunday before the actual eclipse, it was expected to rain. So I was actually in a hotel room in Dallas, Texas, and I heard people talking about, it's going to be cloudy. And then I kept visualizing these little kids just crying, going, "Oh, mommy, are we going to see the eclipse?" These crying. And I thought it would be funny. Well, at the very end, the sky opens up and it lets. And my theory is because there were so many gays that had gone down to Texas that they had helped with the weather. I don't know. What do you think of that theory? Was that
rainbows and ponies and sunshine?
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
And God bless Texas. God bless America. And
exactly. God bless America.
It was a big thing. So the eclipse, because of the nature of the eclipse, in so many parts of the United States, we're going to have anywhere from an 80 to a 100% viewing of a full eclipse. And I forget how much press coverage that gets until you have another eclipse.
Yes.
I mean, I had one in a few years like that, and people really got into it. And I forget how amped up people get for over something to me is kind of a normal thing. But it was kind of cool.
These people, their gas prices, when I left Charlotte, North Carolina, I could get gas in some sections at $2.99 a gallon. And then when I got to Texas, it was $3.45 a gallon. Ooh. So the energy capital of the world can't even control their gas prices. All right, enough ragging on Texas. because we actually have a show called, I don't know if it's coming up next month or whatever. It will be coming up again. It'll be like the third time we've had it, which is the dumbest state, Texas or Florida. I believe those are the two. So we'll talk about both of those then. But today's episode, or today's show, as Jenny said, is called, it's actually our annual Cinco de Mayo versus Diez Y Seis show. Those who've watched us for several years know that we do this every year. We talk about, to try to educate people, the difference between the two celebrations. One of them is actually an official Mexican Independence Day. The other one is beer celebration. I guess, how would you describe the other one that we're going to talk about? So, I think people know which one we're talking about. But
Chris, the one coming up, Cinco de Mayo, just like St. Patty's Day, does have some historical references. Mm-hmm. But for the people that use it as a drinking holiday, whether it's to promote their business or they're partaking of the beverages, clearly most people don't know. But you know what? We went out into the field last year and interviewed people.
And hopefully we'll do it again this year with a better camera.
And we'll do it. Not going to comment. I made the comment off
Watch here. That. Exactly.
So, that's why I was laughing and chuckling. We were both chuckling because we were making some off-air comments, and then, like the true professionals we were giggling and laughing right into the beginning of the show, to almost to the point where I couldn't talk. But yeah, I was surprised, especially the younger crowd, the Generation Z, how many people knew the difference between Cinco de Mayo and Mexican Independence Day in September. Which usually typically starts Hispanic Heritage Month.
Mm-hmm.
It's normally timed that's either the first or the second day of the month, and then it continues into October. It's kind of a fall celebration. And it's also right next to my birthday, which is awesome. And we partake on this show. We celebrate it several different ways because the show is dedicated to edging people. First and foremost, it's a community show. Celebrating the diversity and the beauty of the Latino, Latinx, and Hispanic cultures, and the diversity, which there's a wide diversity in the community. There's beautiful histories, like beautiful art. Growing up in a predominantly Hispanic culture like San Antonio, I can tell you, to me, it's all inspiring. It's one of the reasons I like doing this show, is that I celebrate Tejano culture. I as they should be proud. It's a beautiful culture. It's a beautiful group of people. It's not just about the food. It's about the art. It's about the traditions. It's about the dedication of family. One of the things I admire about Hispanic and Latinx families is their commitment to their families and their commitment to their communities. And honestly, you see it in San Antonio. You see community pride there more than any other Texas city. I will fight for that. I will argue that. There is no other Texas city that takes more pride in their city than San Antonio, Texas.
Amen.
And it shows. It's one of the reasons it's the tourist capital of Texas.
Exactly. Well, very well said, Jenny. And so, listen, we're going to go directly into our Barb's current events, but then we're going to go into the rest of the show. We do want to. I want to thank everyone for joining us. I completely have forgotten what I usually say at the beginning, so we'll just do it now. Welcome, everyone, to Coffee Pan Dulce. I'm Christian Cano, one of your co-hosts, along with Jenny Gunn. Barb Bacon, we're waiting for her to return from her hiatus. We can't wait to see her. And then we also want to thank all of the guests who've been joining us as well. Hopefully we'll have some of them before the summer starts. Today's show, as I mentioned, is about Cinco de Mayo. But before we talk about the show, which we have already, let's jump directly into Barb's current events.
And this is Barb's current events.
All right, here we go. Barb's current events. The very first one, Jenny, these are specifically for you. Trump is in a courtroom. He is cold. Apparently, from reporters, he is very gassy. And, well, I'll let you talk about those ones. That's the first one. The second one, MTG, your favorite, whatever she is. She is up in arms because now she wants to get rid of the speaker that they just elected. And so I don't know how you feel about that one, the more dysfunction. So MTG is spearheading. He's actually going against, I think, Trump. I don't know all those shenanigans. So that is the second one. And the third one is tomorrow. When you see this, we're taping this show. We tape it a week ahead. When you see this show, the next actually it would have happened already. That's right. But tomorrow, our time here, the Supreme Court will be hearing the arguments for the immunity for President Trump. He says that our president should have absolute immunity, and that it's going to keep people from being able to be good presidents in the future, and all the crazy talk. I don't know if you've been hearing what he has to say, but anyway, so those are the three current events. Jen, if you even want to comment on those are the. Tell us what you think.
Well, I mean, Trump is in the find out part of his life. Obviously, I said that on the other show because we recorded that this morning before this one. But quite frankly, he has no case. There's nothing in the law books that says he can't be prosecuted. And there's presidential precedents. There has been presidents that have been held accountable in office and out of office. Being the president of the United States or running for office is not a get out of jail free card. There's no legal scholar that has any brains, which probably isn't any Trump's attorneys, but there's no legal merit whatsoever. The Supreme Court is not going to give a president carte blanche. That is the beginning of the end of democracy. If rule of law and accountability ends for any politician, stick a fork in that democracy. It's not. It doesn't make sense, because here's the other thing. Right now, it's a Democrat in the White House.
Yeah.
Supreme Court knows that. And right now, it would favor the Dems, not the Republicans, if they rule in Trump's favor in reality, because Trump's not going to get reelected. Let's just be real. He's not going to get reelected. He has no chance. He's got a better chance of going to prison than being reelected. But if they give Biden, I don't want carte blanche for Biden either. I don't want carte blanche for any president.
You know what, Jay?
It's called a really bad idea.
JD, I never. Once again, you just made a point that I completely didn't even think about. You're exactly right. The argument that Trump is giving right now to the world, basically he's saying no president should be held accountable, no president because they can't be president, and whatever the case may be. You're right. If what he's saying is true, Biden could, if the Supreme Court says yes, every president has absolute immunity, Biden today could say, as president, I'm putting Trump in jail.
Well, hold my beer and watch this.
Yeah.
And so even if he couldn't do nothing to Trump, he could do damage to the Republican Party.
Exactly.
He's the sitting president, so he's the head of the FBI, the NSA, the CIA, the military. You literally, it's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
It's dumber than dumb. And no Democrat or Republican should want that. Nobody's above the law. That's the whole point of this exercise. It's the whole point why we had the American Revolution, supposedly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Was that King George was above it all.
Mm-hmm.
No taxation without representation, blah, blah, blah. Here we are. And now we have these so-called patriots saying, yeah, but Trump's above the law. Okay. Well, that means Biden's above the law, too.
Exactly.
That means whoever gets elected in 2024 is above the law. 2028, and so on and so forth. And and historically speaking, and really look at the slate of available candidates, there's a good chance we're going to have Democrat presidents for a while.
Exactly. So
You're
exactly right. Yeah, good point.
And if I was the party that was not occupying the White House, the last thing I would want to do is argue a narrative that gives the current administration that's on the opposite team absolute power. I think it's a stupid idea.
Yeah.
And I'm a Democrat. I'm a registered Democrat.
Yeah.
I vote for Joe. I'm going to vote for him this fall. I'm riding with Biden, vote blue, no matter who. But I'm telling you, just like the 702 program that gives the FBI and the NSA unlimited power from 2008 on, where they don't even have to go into a court anymore to go after people, supposedly not in the United States, but
no, that's an excellent point.
I want unlimited power for the NSA. I want unlimited power for our military. I don't want unlimited power for a president or a congressperson. Accountability and rule of law is what are the cornerstones of not just our Constitution, but our federal and state law, civil rights, human rights. Is you don't want one person standing up high, i.e. Hitler, Mussolini, Vladimir Putin. You don't want anybody standing up high and saying, well, I mean, we just saw Putin assassinate, allegedly, his biggest rival in prison. Exactly.
Hey, Jen, hold that thought real quickly. We're going to take our first break, and we're going to come back to the three, because I also want you to comment on continue on Trump. And comment on him being cold and gassy in the courtroom. So we'll be right back. We're going to take our first break on Coffee Pan Dulce right after this.
So we have a great fall lineup, and we encourage you to tune in to many of our fabulous shows, like our Diez Y Seis show, and many more things in October and November as well. Thanks for watching, as always, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, y'all.
Hey, y'all, thanks for watching, and support our local black and brown businesses, including our sponsor, Manolo Bakery. They have some fabulous pastries, food, king cakes, all kinds of specialty cakes, smallies, and much, much more. Some of the best food we eat in Charlotte, North Carolina. Again, Manolo Bakery, right here in East Charlotte. Thanks for watching. Hey, y'all, thanks for watching the Florida shows. They've been wildly successful. Obviously, it's a topic that you guys have enjoyed and wanted to know more of. And we like talking about the dumpster fire that used to be the state of Florida. And we'll probably talk about it some more this summer. Thanks for watching, y'all.
Bye, y'all. Thanks for watching.
Welcome back, everyone. Jenny, that is, that's an excellent point. I'm surprised that people have not highlighted that as much as we should, because you're right. It works both ways. I mean, the MAGA people and the Trump people, they think they're the only kids in the room, and that's the problem. They think they're the only kids in the room, and that's what makes them so angry. Is other people come in the room and oh, don't play with my toys. But you're exactly right. It works both ways, people.
It's a really, the whole point of breaking the Watergate scandal with the Woodward and Bernstein, and one of the reasons they won a Pulitzer was because they took down a president and a vice president that said the whole case, freedom of the press, freedom of speech, the ability to pursue a sitting president of the United States that won in a landslide in 1917. First of all, Nixon didn't even have to cheat to win. He was going to slaughter McGovern. Like, he beat him like he stole something. Nixon was a wildly popular president at the time, was bringing an end to Vietnam. A lot of people believed in him, and he still did something that was extraordinarily stupid. And he paid the ultimate price. Unlike Trump, he did decide to honor. He said the office is bigger than him. He resigned, and he made Agnew resign. He was probably going to prison. And then Ford pardoned him. But it is something that's happened in a lot of people's lifetime,
Yeah.
including you and I. We were alive when Nixon resigned. We were young, but we were alive. And we're seeing this with Trump today. I wouldn't want Obama to have unlimited power. I definitely don't want to have Biden. And I voted for Biden in 2020, and I'm going to vote for him in 2024. I'm just saying it right now.
Sure.
And unless something dramatically different happens, I'm voting for him. But I do not want to give any American president unlimited power.
Exactly.
I know firsthand how dangerous power given in the wrong hands can be. As far as MTG is concerned, speaking of power and stupid and bad decisions, these Republicans are really, it's not just MTG, but it's a cluster of about 18 or 19 Republicans in the House that somehow are pushing around the majority of the Republicans. And they're paralyzing this speaker, which he's a special kind of stupid. But what he did, what they're upset about, is he did a job.
Exactly, yeah.
He got a budget passed. He's passed on some spending allocations for sport and spending, and they're not having it. And I'm going, guys, you got to let your speaker do a job. It's not playing in their favor. This kind of stuff is only going to help the Democrats. If I was a Republican strategist, they look like an absolute cluster. They look, and they're a special kind of stupid, but they're looking stupider.
No, exactly.
As far as falling asleep, and having flash on, it could be the continence problem too, because even Woodward said there's that vapor barrier on those diapers, and the smell barrier doesn't work with Trump. And him getting cold, well, he's practically 80 years old. He lives full-time in Florida now, in Mar-a-Lago in southern Florida at that. And this trial's in New York, which April in New York it's crisp. Even if this is May 1st when you're seeing this, we're recording this the last Wednesday of April. It's not toasty and warm like southern Florida. Not that I feel sorry for him. He's there for a reason. Like he's allegedly broken this law, and he's facing. Trump's going to find out part of his phase of his life. I said this on the other show. I still do that. But one thing we don't need to do, and all three of these cases are related to MTG thing. MTG and these Republicans are just parroting what Trump wants because they think it's going to get him reelected. Trump thinks he's going to beat this rap. I don't think he is. And Trump is not going to get out of being prosecuted because I believe the Supreme Court is still going to hold up rule of law because they have to. And I think it's not only is it the right thing to do, but it's really, really stupid. And it's a bad precedent to set. And I'm against it.
Yeah, excellent point. I think it's also very telling. You and I are both in North Carolina. We live in North Carolina. And I think it's very telling that our senior senator here, Tom Tillis, who I'm not a fan of, Tom Tillis, actually, I think the week that we're recording this, told the newspaper in Raleigh, the Raleigh newspaper, the Observer, I think it's what it's called, the News and Observer, told them that basically MTG's not all there. He didn't say exactly like that, but he basically said, she's not all there. But he also said that the biggest threat to the Republicans regaining the House is not Democrats, it's MTG. So,
he's not wrong.
Yeah, I thought that was very telling. I mean, I think he's saying out loud what a lot of Republicans are probably thinking around, which I'm happy with. I'm all about it.
And as you know, the stuff that's coming out of the 2024 Republican Party is anti-woman, anti-abortion, anti-LGBT. And honestly, a lot of it just doesn't make sense. Like, if they want to continue to be viable, I'm all all for them creating their own party.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all chaos.
For them just being a flaming bag of dog shit on the Republican porch.
It's chaos, crazy, and childish. PCs, I guess. That's my alliteration.
It's making the Democrats' life so much easier.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know what your take is, but it just seems like they're like on a self-fulfilling death march for their political party.
It's almost as if though they sense this is going to be, things aren't going to go well in November. They put this, they put their, you can tell they're putting this false, they're putting this face on, because they don't want to admit we're not looking good right now.
No.
But they have to put this because they're the party that never admits mistakes, never admits, and in front of them that they're about to crash, and they're just trying to figure out, okay, we know we're going to crash, we can feel it, we're just trying to find out who we're going to blame, what's going to happen, because that's really kind of what they do. We don't really have a plan, we don't have a policy, we're not appealing to younger people, we're not appealing to relevant people. The only thing we have is an angry old guy who's being indicted on all these indictments, and every single day he comes out in front of the camera and talks about how everyone's out to get him. Well, every criminal says that. And so, yeah, I mean, every criminal says they're out to get me, the popo, so it is like, as you said, it is a find out phase. I'm so can't wait till 2024 is over so we can find out, completely find out. But I'm so anxious about 2025 because I hope this is some of the last. Well, it won't be the last, but I do hope that people really wake up and say how they feel about this MAGA movement, and that we can move on to the next crazy movement, which would be something post-Trump. So,
but don't you think the Republican Party? I'm curious what your take is, because you've also run for office too. Is they're making unforced errors?
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder who's guiding the ship.
Obviously no one is. I think they thought, especially the MTGs, the lower Boberts, I think they thought it was just enough to be crazy and make noise.
Okay.
But they're finding out it's actually a job. It is a job they applied for. They don't have the skill set. They don't have the they don't have what is necessary to govern. The one thing that I will at least admit, or at least appreciate about some of the previous Republicans, at least they understood it takes a little bit to actually do this job. It takes some compromise, and it takes, some other things to actually do the job. And I think these other ones are finding out this is actually a job, and they're not really good at the job. And I think they're like a deer with a deer in the eyes in the headlight, where they're like, I don't really know what I'm doing. All I know is that I'm just going to make as much noise until someone comes and saves me or whatever. It's almost a very sad moment, especially for their constituents. And that's what I think is what people, I hope people are realizing is, you know what, I don't mind. I hope the people who live in MTG's district, even though she'll probably be reelected, I hope what they're saying is, how are we getting anything from this? How will we bet, other than her being on television, how is our community getting, jobs, inflation down, all the things they're talking about? So, hey, listen, I want to keep talking about this, but I also want to do the little quiz that and remind people the quiz is about Cinco De Mayo and Diez Y Seis. So we're going to be right back on Coffee and Pan Dulce right after this.
Hey, y'all, this is Jenny here, and it is amazing. We're already into April, and I really want to thank you for watching all of our winter lineup and our early spring lineup. And you are what makes this show great. Is otherwise it'd just be Christian and I talking to each other. And but you're the reason why we do this, and we truly do appreciate all of our listeners and viewers, and even some of the MAGAs that post on our Facebook. But anyway, have a great week and happy April.
Happy April. Bye, y'all. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for watching our Coffee Pan Dulce Show every week. Don't forget, you can watch us visually on our video podcast platforms on Facebook and YouTube, but you can also listen to us on your favorite audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all of the other ones that your favorite, whatever your favorite is. Once again, thank you for watching us on Coffee Pan Dulce. We'll dance out.
Well, welcome back, everyone. And so a year ago, around this time, Jenny and I went onto the streets. We called it CPD Show on the Streets. And Jenny interviewed some people, in the south end of Charlotte, North Carolina, also in the around Manolo's Bakery. We talked to one of our viewers and friends of both of ours who talked to us about Cinco de Mayo. And the question that Jenny had, even though you probably couldn't hear all of them because I was having some audio issues with the camera, the equipment that we had at the time. And we have new equipment. Jenny was asking, I think the question was something similar to, can you tell us what's the significance? What does Cinco de Mayo mean, or something like that? And so I'm going to ask you, Jen, for those who are watching this and who's been anxiously waiting through the entire show, what is the difference between Cinco de Mayo and Diez Y Seis?
Google it. No, I'm just kidding. No, I did that on my show, but I'll actually explain it. So Cinco de Mayo signifies the Battle of Puebla.
Yes.
It was not Mexican Independence Day. Mexican Independence Day is September 16th.
That's right.
And there's a distinct difference. If you want more details on that, obviously you should Google it and get an education. I feel, and I'm going to, since I'm the token white person on this show, I'm going to tell white people that listen to the show or watch the show, please Google it. Yeah. It's culturally insulting to go out and celebrate a holiday without doing the bare monicum of decency of at least understanding what you're celebrating. Doesn't mean you shouldn't celebrate it. I mean, don't wear a sombrero, don't do any cringy ass shit. But if you want to go out and spend money with brown businesses, with Latino and Hispanic businesses, especially small businesses, please do that. You should do that year round, obviously, because it supports directly our economy. The best way to help your local economy and employ local people is to support small businesses. But we say this on the show, we'll say it a million more times, support Manolo's Bakery, support the local brown and black small businesses. I come from a family of small businesses. America was built by small business. Small business employs a disproportionate amount of racial minorities, ethnic groups, new arrivals, and LGBT people and more. And it's really the best and the brightest and some of the greatest people you'll ever meet are small business owners. And we're huge fans of the chambers of commerce, including the LGBT Chamber of Commerce of the Carolinas on this show. We've had Chad Turner, the president, on here. We've had Mike from the SBA, that not only is a Latinx man, but also the regional director for the SBA. That's right. Yeah. And he's been on our show as well, talking about the SBA programs for small businesses. And quite frankly, since COVID and this Amazonization, Amazon and Walmart taking over our economy, the best way to keep that from happening is have diversity in your business and do as much business. Buy small, buy local. Go to some of the shops you haven't been to in a while. Go to the consignment shops and the local bakeries and experience the food and experience the flavors and do business with local. They will appreciate it more than that next convenience order from Amazon.
So were you, I know you mentioned this when we started the show, but we've also, you and I have talked about this. what were your thoughts about the young people when you asked them this question?
Surprisingly, and they didn't even Google it. There was a lot of people that knew the difference. And when we talk about education systems, I'm pleasantly surprised. And we saw this during the summer of 2020 with the George Floyd riots. We're seeing it now with the pro-Palestinian riots in the Northeast, especially at the Ivy League schools. We're seeing a younger, smarter, more educated people. I know that a lot of times we've villainized the younger generation. Oh, they just play on TikTok all day. I'm going, honestly, they don't. Because the majority of the people that work in fast food and other jobs and construction ain't a bunch of 80-year-old baby boomers. Ain't my dad. My dad's been retired for almost 20 years. He's 81. He's a baby boomer. It's the TikTok teens. You know, they go and they work an 8, 10, 12-hour shift, and they get off and they play on TikTok. Not every Gen Z and not every millennial is a slacker, but I saw a wealth of knowledge. I saw people that were educated. Most people we asked that to knew the answer, and they were really young. The majority of them were 40 and down. Some of them were well under 30, and I was pleasantly surprised, especially in South End, because it skews more youthful, how many people actually knew.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Really didn't, but the sober ones did. There was considering how far we are from a predominant Latinx culture. Like if you went to San Antonio, you'd probably get all day long.
Yeah, exactly.
They'd probably explain in detail. Mm-hmm. But I was surprised. I was pleasantly surprised to see Charlotteans and North Carolinians have a wealth of knowledge. I was impressed.
Yeah, as was I. Yeah, as was I. And I do think, and that was a great explanation what you mentioned. And we were actually, last year when we were on the streets, we actually interviewed a person who's a friend of our show and friends of us as well, who she actually lived in Pueblo for a while. If I remember, she says she lived in Pueblo for a while. But as we had kind of talked about during the interviews, most people of Latinx, Hispanic, Tejano culture, whatever term you use, Latino culture, don't really celebrate Cinco de Mayo. We celebrate Diez Y Seis if you're from the Mexican American heritage, because Diez Y Seis is the Mexican Independence Day. It's when we do the Grito, the yell. Cinco de Mayo celebrates the Battle of Pueblo. And so it's more of it's a different type of celebration. For whatever reason here in the United States, it seems to be a bigger celebration. I don't know if it's because technically festival season in the United States is like the spring to early summer months, where you have all of the festivals that come around during this time period. And Cinco de Mayo just happens to land during that time period. So I thought it was very interesting, and it'd be fun to do it again this year if you're up for it. We're gonna, we'll be on the streets again, and we'll drop that tape as well. But only because where I'm at, they're cutting the grass. I don't know if you can hear it. We're gonna go ahead and take our last break now because you're gonna not be able to hear me in a second. So if you like what you're hearing from Jenny, she does have a show that drops 30 minutes after this every Wednesday. It's called Two Queers in a Truck. We actually taped her show before this one. The one we taped this morning was really good. Not that they aren't always good, but she was on a roll this morning. So watch that one, and that will actually drop when you see this one 30 minutes after on May the 1st. So this last commercial is about Jenny's show. It's called Two Queers in a Truck.
Hey guys, I've got a special product out, and we've got a store under the name blueappliedtech.com, and you can go on our Etsy store, you can go on our social media, and you can check out our merchandise. We have some amazing snowflake Trump mugshot ornaments. We have mugs, we have pillow covers, we have a lot of cute stuff for the holiday season that you can buy. It is great fun, and it goes to a good cause. It goes to my company, and it's helping us out getting started. And also, it just, who doesn't want a historic snowflake Trump ornament?
Exactly.
This year.
That's funny. What's the name of it again?
And the name of the company is Blue, like the color blue, applied APPLIED tech, like technology.
Blue Applied Tech. Ah, cool.
And so you can look us up. We have a website, but our stores on Etsy, and a lot of people use Etsy for different types of great gifts. They are assembled in the United States, so it creates American jobs. And most of all, it's a lot of fun, and they're not expensive.
Cool.
So,
Blue Applied Tech. Got it.
Correct. Come seek us out and buy some gifts.
Cool. Hey everyone, this is Christian Cano with the Coffee Pan Dulce Show. I want to thank everyone who watched our wonderful summer shows. We had incredible viewership and incredible listenership numbers. And we also want to let you know that our fall schedule is out. We have some great shows coming in September, October, and November. So please stay with us all fall and watch our fall shows on Coffee Pan Dulce. I'll dance out.
Up next is Two Queers in a Truck with Jenny and Christian. And hope you guys tune in. We'll see you in about 15 to 20 minutes. Thank you. Bye.
Well, welcome back, everyone. And don't forget to join Jenny's show. So, Jen, I know we can talk about Cinco de Mayo and Diez Y Seis. And, of course, hopefully all things, if everything goes as planned, this time next year we'll be dropping the show about Fiesta in Texas. And we'll be bringing Fiesta in San Antonio, Texas, to our listeners and viewers, and hopefully 2025 will be a wonderful year. But I want to get back to the Trump situation. The reason I want to get back to the Trump situation is because this is a historic moment that I think we know it's historic, but I don't think we'll really realize how historic it is. You have a former president that is sitting in a courtroom for a criminal. He is a criminal defendant. Not being sued civilly, he's a criminal defendant who is having to sit in a courtroom 6 hours a day. And it is going to go on for about 6 weeks. I have been, like a soap opera, I have been watching this on both listening to it on podcasts that are actually like doing recaps of what's going on a moment basis, but also CNN and CNN podcasts and everything. I've been listening to them. And I don't think people realize how important this is because of all he is doing is complaining about being cold, how he can't campaign. And this is not helping him because I think even his followers want him just to shut up, and just. But he's actually making it worse for himself because his attorneys in the opening argument said he had nothing to do with this. He had nothing to do with this and so forth. And then he came out that same day and said, I signed the checks. I did this. It's like completely opposite. I don't know if you're following any of this or if you're as fascinated about it as I am, but tell me what you think.
First of all, Trump is one of those people that is like Jack Nicholson's character in A Few Good Men. And most con artists aren't happy until they get their due. It's kind of part of their sociopath side of their brain where he wants to crow about it.
Sure.
He doesn't want to go quietly in the night. He wants to say, no, I'm Mr. Former president, big shot, Trump hotels, sleazy golf resorts. I want to beat this rap by bulldozing the judge and showing how powerful I am. He wants this part of his story. And any defense attorney that would be representing him is obviously they hate their career. If you pick him as a client, you get a fool for a client that has verbal diarrhea. This guy crows like he's done this for so long, and he's gotten on the Twitterscape and on the social medias. Now has his own sleazy little social media outlet, and he gets on there and pontificates about either how great he is or how terrible the other side is. The problem is that luckily this judiciary and the prosecutors aren't swayed by it. And they're saying, no, rule of law, whether we win or lose, we're going to prosecute you. What you did was wrong. We're asking you to be held accountable like any other citizen. They're not asking for anything more. There's nothing special about this trial. It's actually a very simple trial. It's going to be over in a very short order, and he's probably going to lose.
Yeah.
And even if he doesn't, he's got more criminal trials down the pipe. I don't anticipate that the Supreme Court's going to rule in his favor. I know that they're not maybe the best justices, but I'm pretty sure they even understand the historical significance of this. Because if they give a president unlimited power, Biden could just remove them.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about that.
Yeah, like if you gave a president that much power, and it's the opposition, he's got a lot of time in office. I mean, he's got to wait till next January for sure. And honestly, if you give him unlimited power, he may be in office for quite a while, and his successors will all be Democrats, and we'll have a Putin situation where you can jail the opposition, you can do all kinds of dirty tricks, and you can operate with impunity. And nobody wants that. Nobody in their right mind would want that.
So do you think that people are? What do you? I mean, do you think people are even watching this case like I am? It's just my fascination, or do you think people are just so over Trump that they're like, just another case? Or
I think the curiosity
just set in their own. Yeah,
I think there's a certain amount of population that the same ones that like to watch the news for train wrecks and disasters, and stuff like that. I think there's a lot of curiosity seekers. It is something novel because it doesn't happen often. Obviously, Obama didn't have any kind of scandals. Biden's been fairly scandal-free himself.
Even the Bushes,
even George W. Bush. Other than the wars, and twins getting a little bit of trouble here and there, but there hasn't been a real scandalous president. You maybe could say, Clinton with the whole, I didn't sleep with that woman thing.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, something on this level, it was Nixon. And Nixon, that was like the early 70s. Like that was 72, 73, 74. So it's been a minute. It's been 50 years. I think we were probably due for another stupid president. And obviously Republicans like serving them up because, this guy's made W look smart. And I think the Republican Party is running its course as this current iteration. I think it's very similar to the end of the era with Reagan. And I think the party's gotten very off track of what they usually believe. Because like Newt Gingrich and even Papa Bush, they were still pro-Republican, but they also understood history. Newt Gingrich was a student of history. I believe he was a professor of history, actually. Mm-hmm. And they understood that they also had a job to do. They were elected to do a job. And worked hand in hand with the Clinton administration to make sure the country ran and even balanced the budget together.
Yeah, I just don't understand, and I never will, but it just intrigues me. I just don't understand Trump's thinking from a political standpoint, because I know he thinks he's this political genius, but everything he is doing is so unforced errors, kind of in a way, to go out in front of the camera every time he can during this situation, saying the judge is this so forth, and slamming the system, and Biden is the one who's doing this, and all these really cheesy, almost Saturday Night Live kind of lines that we've heard over and over and over. I don't know who he's, other than his own base, okay, which it's very small, the loud MTG kind of individuals. The rest of the people who are just working, doing everyday jobs and all that kind of stuff, he sounds exactly like any typical criminal who blames everybody else,
Yeah.
And so I guess that's what is so intriguing to me is every time he comes in front of the camera and repeats the silliness, even his own people are insinuating, I wish he would just shut up.
Yeah.
And so he's not even listening to them. And I don't understand. It's bizarre. Let's just say this.
They created a monster.
Yes. That's a good idea.
When they made this presidential Frankenstein freak of nature, larger than life, and they just let him and his handlers and the Proud Girls and all this just run wild for 4 years, just saying whatever the hell he wants with these Twitter storms and 2 o'clock in the morning screamings and, ketchup bottles hitting the wall and this ranting and raving. What they did was they said, a president shouldn't be dignified. A president shouldn't act presidential. We need this. So when they got it, and there's a reason why 44 presidents didn't act this way, including Nixon, is that a little bit of decorum, a little bit of manners, a little bit of professionals, since you're the CEO of the largest government in the world, with the largest military in the world, that you want the dignity of a commander-in-chief. You want a gentleman and a scholar. You want somebody that is presidential. To me, when you say the word presidential, do you think of Obama or do you think of Trump?
Yeah.
And if you say Trump, I'm going to ask, what is presidential about Trump? Yeah. And he never came off as presidential even when he was president.
Well, listen, this is good. This is we only got 90 minutes left, but we're gonna finish early here. This is gonna lead directly into our Pendejos Chronicles.
And this is the Pendejo Chronicles.
All right, so here's the Pendejo Chronicles. What Trump is doing every day right now, going out in front of the camera, blaming everybody else. Everyone's out to get him. I'm the victim. I have to get him. Leads directly into this social media postings that the MAGA followers of his are still posting in 2024. And especially if you look at some of the social media postings from our shows, especially the ones that have done very, very well. The common theme behind a lot of these postings, and many of them you can't see because we don't give them the platform, and it really irks them, is they continue to use 3 different phases. Democrats are communists, they're pedophiles, and there's another one I can't remember, but it's like the three insults. It's very similar to a child in a playground who does the same insult. I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but you know what I mean. And what happens is when you're the object of that insult, you have 2 options. You can either continue to be hurt, which they are hurtful, but then you learn to harden yourselves, and you learn to harden yourself, and you learn to say, all right, what else you got? You know what I mean? And on social media, I have found that it is really upsetting them because that's the only insults they have.
Yeah.
And a lot of, especially our show, and I'm sure many other people on social media, and you've talked about some of them that you follow as well, they're not giving them the platform anymore. They're saying, I'm not even going to tolerate this anymore. And once you start doing the pedophile, the other one is men can't have babies. You believe that men can have babies. It's like it's kind of anyway, the insult. And so it's like now it's upsetting them because no one is letting them say those things anymore. And it's not hurtful. I mean, it's hurtful, but it's also like, all right, you know what? We're just going to hide you, but thank you for helping our threads. And, we try to continue to get them going. But now they're starting to say, oh, you just don't believe in free speech and you just don't want, no. And so I do think it's very interesting that it's so 2023. I don't know how to say it any better, that their insults aren't impacting us, are impacting people anymore, because I don't want to say they need to come up with something more creative, but they have milked and milked and milked this gays are pedophiles, Democrats are communists, woke. The woke thing is starting to kind of wear off, I don't know how you feel about that.
I think it's backfiring in a lot of ways because, one, I think a lot of people woke up when they reversed Roe versus Wade. And so some of the people that were on that independent side of the ledger, which is 34% of North Carolina registered voters, kind of went, ooh, those wackos are really getting wacky. It's time to kind of rein that in. Kind of like after Reagan and Bush, we saw a pushback from ultra-conservative right-wing values with the mishandling of the HIV crisis and a lot of other things in the economy. People said, maybe we should give this Clinton guy a shot. And we saw political correctness. We saw things calm down quite a bit under Clinton. Clinton years in the 1990s were wildly successful years, not only for the United States, but honestly for decorum and chillness. And our country really seemed to take it down a few notches. And I think also, too, most people see these people as throwing a tantrum. I think most people see these as the big old children that they are. And social media is not real life.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not real life. The personas that you and I have on it, for example, we're first and foremost with a podcast, we're entertainers.
Exactly.
Our listeners, our true listeners, listen to this show, which, thank you, by the way, if you're listening to the show and you've gotten to this point, we appreciate you more than you know. But our listeners, our loyal listeners, they listen for entertainment purposes, just like with any other media show, whether it's Fox News, whether it's about, unsolved mysteries, whatever it is. And when these people go in there rant and rave irrationally and say wild things, most people don't pay it no mind.
No.
The second thing is, for the jackasses that get on there and rant and rave, that typically don't watch our show, just get on the rant and rave, thank you also, too.
Exactly.
Because there's no such thing as bad press. We're in show business. Yeah. Thanks for promoting our show. Thanks for pushing us the algorithm. You can cry as much as you want to. You're not affecting me. You can get as mad as you want for me being queer and trans and all of that. You can be mad.
Call me a pedophile, a communist.
I live a good life. I'm a pure, rational adult. I'm older than age 5. I don't get upset. In fact, I love some of the insults, like in 2020 when that one MAGA protester called me a trans testicle. It's nothing. I don't care. Our true fans don't care. They don't care that week in, week out, they don't care what the MAGA say about us. They tune in because they want to listen to the show. And that's with any audience. Vice versa for the conservative talk shows. Doesn't matter what the liberals say about Fox News. There's going to be a certain segment of people that want to watch Fox News, just like there's people that drink from the toilet. And that's okay. There's different strokes for different folks. There's 31 flavors for a reason. If it was all vanilla, it'd be a very boring world, and I would hate life because I love chocolate and I love peanut butter. And I've gotten to a point in my life where I'm going to point out the hypocrisy. We're going to laugh about it. Honestly, the hate, I would rather have hate than apathy, because at least they show that they care about their country too. Even if it's misguided, even if it's horrifically bad, they can call me whatever they want. At 54 years old, I've been called a little bit of everything. Probably by people that are friends too.
That was an excellent way of putting it, Jenny. And I think we should probably end on that note. And I'm going to steal that one from you, by the way. So if you hear it like in 1 or 2 weeks, you're going to say, hey, I came up with that one. But that's an excellent way of putting it, Jenny. Even with their misguided, crazy trailer trash hate, at least you can tell they care about their country.
Yes.
It's misguided. It doesn't help them. It actually makes things worse for them to vote for someone like Trump who doesn't really give a crap about them. But at least we know they care for their country. So there is a little bit of hope knowing that if we can come to a place, not only them and maybe us as well, post-Trump, after he gets, beat again, and it's going to say, whatever, that we can say, hey, listen, there are some things that we have in common. We both don't like war. We both don't like millions of dollars going to other countries when we have people here who need housing, who need to eat, who need,
education,
who need healthcare, who need these kind of things. So yes, we agree. Like you said, I agree. Why are we spending all these billions of dollars in Israel when we have people here who
significant needs?
Yeah, who have significant needs, and I agree with that. So that is a commonality that maybe post-Trump, that if that pendulum comes back around, that we can see. Yeah, you're right. And so there are some.
I don't mind people being passionate about their country, and I don't mind. I've gotten to a place of peace to where I'm glad people care. I'm glad. We've always, as a country, we've always been able to argue the issues of the day. And for the most part, we've not torn each other apart. Well, one bad time, Civil War. But ever since 1865, for the most part, we've always been able to sit down, elect officials, elect representatives. We've been able to protest because of the First Amendment and say, we're not comfortable with this. On either side of the ledger. Conservative, progressive, independent, whatever you want to call it. But we've always been able to do that. And that's what makes our country great. And it's what other countries envy, is the fact that most countries fall apart when that happens. But the United States, typically after a very tumultuous, look at the 1960s, but the 70s and 80s were 90s were pretty good years because of the hard work of the 60s. And I honestly believe after the 2020s, I think America will have another great 20 or 30 years because the millennials and the Generation Z that's much smarter than us is going to be in full control. And they're going to go, we know how to use the Google machine. We know how to complete your sentences. We know what the Battle of Puebla is. We're smarter than you. Go ahead and take a nap, Grandpa. We got this.
So what do you think?
I think we're going to be fine.
Well, that's I think we're going to leave on that one. But just real quick question. There was a phrase for a while, "Okay, Boomer." It was more kind of like saying, kind of like a roll their eye to the baby boomers. Okay, Boomer. Like that. What do you think's going to be said about Gen Xers? Move on.
We're glad the
Whatever,
X
whatever.
doesn't mark the spot. Like I think,
whatever X.
I'm hoping at the very end of our generation being in power, which is pretty soon, because the majority of us will be at retirement age within 8 or 10 years.
Right,
the oldest of us are now close
and
to
there just aren't a lot of us.
Yeah. And there's just not, it wasn't a huge generation, but I think these next two generations that are wildly more diverse, they're queer, they're more diverse ethnically, they think differently, and they honestly are quite just way smarter than our generation. I think there's not going to be a lot said. I think the passing torch is going to be a lot quieter, because they're going to kind of say, let them sleep. Let them lay on them. And I think they're just going to quietly go in there with the TikToks and the Google machines. And they're just going to go, we need to do better. We're going to do better. There's going to be urgency in the 2030s to head off this cataclysmic environmental issues and climate change. And I honestly think our 2030s are going to be very, very more about rolling up our sleeves and doing the hard work that we didn't do in the 2020s. And I think there's going to be a lot of cleanup on all five. And I think you're going to, in America, that's going to be youthful and invigorated and forced to pivot. And I think we're going to see a lot of lessons learned. That's what I'm really hoping. I'd love that.
So do I. Excellent. Well, listen, on that note, we've thank you for helping me carry the show. It's been a great show, and your show before has been also a really good show. So we want to thank everyone for joining us. Next week we'll be same time, same place, same bat time. What is it? Same bat time, same time place. Next week, next week we will drop a show that's going to be called R.I.P. Ron DeSantis. It marks the 1 year anniversary that Ron DeSanctimonious, or what do we call him? Dixuctus? Ron DeSantis. Ron. It'll be the 1 year anniversary where he announced he was running for president, and how quickly that faded away. As a matter of fact, I think most people believe that he's peaked, and we'll be talking about that, because he has, I think, 2 more years, 3.5 more years as governor, and then he can't run again.
He's termed out.
He's termed out. And so we'll be talking about, do you remember Ron DeSantis? That's what we'll be talking about, because he was, if you watched our shows last year, we were all over him, and thank goodness that he has disappeared. I think we have a couple of other shows. We'll talk about the school voucher program. We'll talk about the Summer of Democracy, and then we'll end the month, and then we'll go into our summer shows. We'll end the month with Who is the Dumbest State, Part 3, between Texas and Florida again. So that'll be kind of some fun shows, and then we'll start our summer shows. God, it's hard to believe. And then I'll be at the undisclosed location again. So, all right. So Jenny, thank you so much. Anything else before we play the music?
Honestly, y'all be safe.
I forgot. Where are you going to be? Yeah.
I won't be celebrating Cinco de Mayo, because I don't drink anymore. We probably will do the out in the field for the next show, and we will do some interviews, and we'll talk to the people in the greater Charlotte area where we live. And I love May, because it's the warmer months. We do have the film festival for real out coming out. Charlotte Pride puts on an amazing film festival. It starts about May 15th, and I'm looking forward to that, because if this is May 1st, it's only a couple of weeks away, and we've already set the films. Everything's going. The popcorn will be popping, and I'm super excited about it. We have some really good films in the film festival this year. I'm super excited.
Are tickets available already?
Tickets are already available.
Oh, okay.
And
all right.
VIP passes for Charlotte Pride 2024 are also on sale. They just got announced this week on Monday.
Look, so those for us.
The cheapest price is right now. So if you do partake of Charlotte Pride and want to come to the 2024 event, which is the third week of August, VIP passes, they're bringing back air conditioning. They're feedback. A new and expanded VIP section is going to be better than ever. I already got a peek from the insiders in the last film festival meeting. Super excited. The board was there. They told me a lot about the deal. They said, be excited. And these are people that have involved a long time. So if you do come out to the festival, which is a 2-day festival, you definitely want to get VIP passes this year. If you're not a cool kid, if you don't get VIP passes, it does help Charlotte Pride.
Excellent. All right. Well, listen, thank you so much. And we will dance out. We'll see you next week, everyone, on Coffee and Pan Dulce. Let's see if this works here. There we go.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all. There we go. Thank you for watching. It was just like magic there, kismet. Hey, we're back from our spring break, and we are rocking out. It is May 1st, and thanks for sticking with us. We have a great slate of May shows coming up, and then the summer shows are kicking in. And hey, have fun. Be safe out there, and don't party too hard on Cinco de Mayo. We'll see you next week.
Bye, y'all.
Next up, thanks for watching Coffee and Pan Dulce. Next up is Two Queers and a Track. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Christian Cano. Thank you so much for joining us on Coffee and Pan Dulce. And also, thank you so much for watching us on Facebook and on YouTube. But also, don't forget, you can actually listen to us on your favorite audio podcast platform like Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podcast Chaser, and others. Once again, thank you so much for watching us and listening to us on Coffee and Pan Dulce. Have a great day.
Coffee and Pan Dulce. How's that? Coffee and Pan Dulce.
Sounds
You
great.
sounded like a telenova. I mean,
I'm trying this. All I have to say is go. Yes.
as a non-Spanish speaker.
And then when you hear the music, that means we get started. Here we go. Okay, Jen, when we come back, stay on that topic, and then we're going to then pivot to Trump in the courtroom where he's saying that he's cold and he's gassy. All right, here we go. All right, Jen, when we come back, I'm just going to ask you if you know the difference between Cinco de Mayo and Diez Y Seis. The same questions you ask those people on the streets. All right? Okay, here we go. Okay, Jen, I'm going to have to, if you don't mind, you do more talking because they're cutting the grass and it's going to get really, really, really loud. So here we go.
Coffee and Pan Dulce. How's that? Coffee and Pan Dulce.